you want to do that?
Well, if you didn't hear from my initial testimony, you know I don't want that.
Listen, I read your testimony word for word, and I've been watching it, and I know what the answer is. You don't actually care about working people because you're absolutely hell-bent on this ideological agenda of opening our border. You want to give everybody who's here a path to citizenship. You want blanket amnesty. You talk about mass deportations. That's your word, not Trump's. You want mass amnesty, right? It's right here in your testimony.
We want a path to citizenship for people who pass a background check, who pay a fine.
That's amnesty, who you just said there's millions of people, 13 million people. Right, 13 million people you want to dump into the labor force.
They are already
who will drive
in the labor force,
illegally.
Senator.
They're here,
yes.
taking jobs
so
from American citizens. And so, perfect.
This.
So here's your plan. So just if you're wondering, America, here's the Democrats' plan. Take the 13 million plus illegals who are here, taking jobs from Americans, taking wages down, taking health care benefits, and bring them here legally so that they can continue to drive down wages, flood the labor force, and suppress all of the days that we're holding this hearing. To me, it's remarkable that the idea of actually, as you were just saying, Ms. Morin, the idea of enforcing our laws, protecting our border, securing our streets from criminals, it's amazing that that's controversial at all. And it says something a lot about the other side of the dais that we're having this hearing today. Let me just ask you, Mr. Reichlin-Melnick, I mean, is it really such a bad idea to deport people like the criminal who killed this young man? This is Travis Wolf. He was 12 years old when he was killed. He was mowed down, and I do mean mowed down, in a car by an illegal immigrant, 12 years of age, walking along a sidewalk in my state of Missouri, mowed down by an illegal immigrant who I think also had a prior criminal record. Is it such a bad idea to deport the person who killed him?
Any person who commits a heinous crime should suffer the consequences under the law.
Good. What about Officer David Lee? Officer David Lee was killed in Missouri just a few months ago by another illegal immigrant, once again in a car, who used it as a lethal weapon to ram him and kill him. Is it so wrong, such a bad idea to deport the illegal immigrant who killed this good man?
Again, any person who commits an awful act should face the full force of the law.
We've had multiple stabbings in the state of Missouri at laundromats in O'Fallon, Missouri, where innocent civilians were going to do their laundry of an evening and were attacked with knives, slashed, bled, stomped upon. Should the illegals who did that, should they not be deported?
No, as I said, if you commit an offense, you should face consequences. But the overwhelming majority of the 13 million people here today
We've had officers assaulted in Kansas City on the other side of the state who have been assaulted by illegal immigrants. One officer required over 100 stitches to the head, a police officer, earlier this year. Should the illegal immigrant who did that not be deported?
Again, they should face the consequences of the law, but they are a very small minority of the population that President Trump is promising to deport.
Well, let's talk about the rest of the people who you don't want to be deported. You said in an article that you wrote recently, new report shows devastating costs of mass deportation. You wrote this in October. Do you remember this piece?
Yes, that is a summary of our report.
Yeah, so in this piece, and it's also in your written testimony, you talk about how much the economy will lose if the United States actually enforces our immigration laws and deports folks who are here illegally. And I want to quote you now. You say some industries would be particularly hard hit, including construction, agriculture, and hospitality, which combined would lose more than 2.5 million workers. What's the argument here, that there aren't American workers who are available to do those jobs?
No, and as I said previously, there likely are, but the issue is that—
And you don't want their wages to rise?
I think that we want to pass a path to citizenship so we can have a level and fair playing field for every American.
Why would you want American citizens and those who are here lawfully to have to compete against illegal immigrants who, by the way, are often paid not minimum wage, who are not given the federally mandated benefits precisely because they're here illegally? Why would you want to drive down the wages of millions of working Americans who can't get those jobs in construction, agriculture, and hospitality because illegal immigrants are getting them, suppressing wages in the meantime? Why would you want to do that?
Well, if you didn't hear from my initial testimony, you know I don't want that.
Listen, I read your testimony word for word, and I've been watching it, and I know what the answer is. You don't actually care about working people because you're absolutely hell-bent on this ideological agenda of opening our border. You want to give everybody who's here a path to citizenship. You want blanket amnesty. You talk about mass deportations. That's your word, not Trump's. You want mass amnesty, right? It's right here in your testimony.
We want a path to citizenship for people
amnesty.
who pass a background check, who pay a fine.
That's amnesty, who you
and
just
that
said
way
there's
we'll get
millions of
a
people,
level
13
playing
million people. Right, 13 million people you want to dump into the labor force.
They are
Who
already
will drive
in the labor force,
illegally.
Senator.
They're here,
Yes.
taking jobs
So
from
let's
American
make it
citizens. And so,
legal and avoid
perfect. So
this.
here's your plan. So just if you're wondering, America, here's the Democrats' plan. Take the 13 million plus illegals who are here, taking jobs from Americans, taking wages down, taking health care benefits, and bring them here legally so that they can continue to drive down wages, flood the labor force, and suppress all
Senator
of the
Hawley,
above.
they can't flood the labor force if they're already part of the labor force, which is
They
the
are
economic
flooding the
issue
labor
today.
force now. That's what's happening now. Why do
The
you think
majority
wages
have been here for
flatlined?
over 15 years. Many millions have been
And
here
what has
since the
happened to
Reagan
working class
administration.
wages in that time, Mr. Reichlin-Melnick?
Working class
Have they gone
wages
up?
are currently going up. Yes,
Oh, really?
they
They've
have
gone up over the last
year.
15 years?
Over the
They're
last
up?
15 years, I will have to consult the economists on that matter.
Yeah, they're down, way down. What world do you live in? Listen,
Senator Hawley, they
here's
are
the
all-
deal. The
Are you
American
familiar with
people
the phrase,
just voted.
"Don't
The American
cut off your
people
nose to
just
spite your
voted.
face"?
Well, you know what? It's my time, not yours. So you're here to answer my questions, not to offer a soliloquy. And let me just end with this. The American people just got a good look at your economic program, and they voted against it. We've had an open border for the last 4 years. We have had de facto amnesty, as you yourself just said, for the last 15 plus years. It has been a disaster. People have died because of it. Wages are lower because of it. Our streets are in chaos because of it. And now you and the Democrat Party just say more of the same, more of the same. Let's double down. I would just say to you, I think that's insane.
Wow, wow, wow. Don't you just love Senator Josh Hawley? He's absolutely fantastic. Every time he brings this in, he just literally shreds these witnesses completely apart, dismantling everything that they say. And these virtue signaling elite people that work in the government structure, as he has to ask him, the young boy that was killed by an illegal alien, struck by a car, they said literally mowed down. The police officer, similar situation. And he has to ask this person who's working in the government, who is absolutely 100% for amnesty, cares more about the illegal aliens' rights, cares more about them and their jobs, and everything that you can think about that you would want to give to somebody else than to, it should be given properly to the American citizen first. This guy, the way he answers the question is, well, of course, anybody that commits any type of a crime or anything of illegal activity, he should face the full force of the penalty. This is just an obscure way of basically saying, in a roundabout way, you know what? Okay, fine. He committed a crime. He needs to do the time. But the majority, nobody is questioned. When these guys, they always pull out the card. Well, the majority of illegal aliens, undocumented people, they're not committing any crimes. It's more of American citizens themselves. They're the ones that are committing crimes. Why aren't we doing anything about that? The fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter that Americans who do commit crimes, yes, they should be found out. We all agree they should be punished once they're found guilty of whatever they've done. But why do we have to import crime into our country? Why do we have to import criminal element into our country? Why do we have to import people that are going to commit bloodshed on our country, commit killings, murders, robberies, rapes, burglaries, drug trafficking? Why do we have to add more from the outside? That's the height of stupidity. That's just absolutely being moronic. But people like this gentleman here who are in government, they have the temerity, the unmitigated gall to question the fact that American citizens, you know what, they've got privilege, but these poor people coming from other countries, illegal aliens, they need our help. They need to be given jobs. They need to be given health care. They need to be given, food and rent and the ability to, place to stay, a place to live. We've got to give that to them. We've got to do it for them for free. And if some of them are bad, or a majority of them are bad, and they commit crimes, oh well, that's just, you just have to, you just have to suck it up. And as he said before, he's for mass amnesty. That's what it'll never end. The next wave, you give these people, you give whatever's here undocumented, 10, 15, 20, whatever, let's say you give them blanket amnesty. What happens when the next round of people, there's no matter how tight you make that border, yes, Trump's going to seal it off as much as he can, but there are still people that are going to come here, overstay visas, still come through the cracks. They're still going to come here. So the question becomes, what is it that you can actually do? Well, the laws have to be made that if you're illegal here, you've committed a crime, we're going to deport you. That's exactly what needs to be done. That's first and foremost. Get rid of the criminal element. Then we can worry about dealing with whoever we have to deal with after that. But that's going to be a job in of itself, to get rid of the criminal element first. The murderers, the rapists, the drug dealers. That's going to be a huge, huge job to take care of. And if we can do that first, we can worry about who we're going to get rid of next in terms of those that are here illegally. Folks, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasser Shake Show. I've been your host. My name is Dr. Nasser. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, like, share, and follow. You all know what to do. Take a look at our video links that you see popping up here in front of you. Put down your, let us know what you think. Share your comments. My final thought is always, when you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're wrong. Until next time, folks, take care and stay safe.